Beloved, I owe you something deeper than an explanation for the weight you've been carrying. You already learned how to live with that weight, even on the nights when it pressed so hard you didn't have words, only tears. What I owe you is clarity for what was quietly unfolding within you during that long, unnamed season. Because while you were watching doors that wouldn't open, something sacred was taking shape in hidden places of your soul. While you were asking when, God was answering with who. The blessing you've been waiting for hasn't just been preparing to arrive, it has been preparing you, forming a heart strong enough, steady enough, whole enough to receive it without breaking. And that transformation within you has been the greater miracle all along. Before you go any further, pause for a moment. Notice yourself, your breath, the way your body responded just now. Maybe there's tension, maybe there's softness, maybe there's something you can't quite name yet. That's okay. There's no right way to enter a moment like this. Just become aware. You've been carrying more than time. You've been carrying questions. Why this long? Why me? Why now? Those questions don't just live in your thoughts. They settle into your body, into your chest, your jaw, your quiet sighs. Don't rush to fix them. Just acknowledge them. Healing doesn't begin with force. It begins with noticing. Here's something gentle but powerful to hold on to. What you've been waiting for has in part been growing within you. The breakthrough hasn't only been moving toward you from the outside. God has also been forming something within you, preparing your heart through His grace. Scripture reminds us, "But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength." Isaiah 40-31. Waiting was never empty. It was active, shaping, renewing. Growth is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It happens in silence, in small shifts, in unseen roots stretching deeper. You may have believed that this slow season meant something went wrong, that delay meant denial. But what if, even in this difficult chapter, God has been working to bring about a deeper preparation in your life? For just a moment, set down the story that says your waiting is a problem. You don't have to throw it away forever. Just let it rest beside you and allow yourself to see this season through a different lens. There was a version of you who first whispered that prayer, a version filled with specific hopes and fragile expectations, but you are not that same person anymore. Time has worked on you, so has disappointment, so has grace, even in ways you didn't fully notice. You've grown, even when it didn't feel like progress. And now, you are becoming someone who can carry what you once only dreamed about. So take a slow breath. Let your shoulders drop just a little. You don't need to hold everything so tightly anymore. You are allowed to soften. If something in your heart is stirring right now, don't ignore it. This may be your moment to respond. If you feel ready to step into what God has been preparing in you, type Amen in the comments below as a declaration of your readiness. It's more than a word, it's a step of faith. And if this message speaks to you, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe so it can reach someone else who may be in their waiting season too. And stay with me until the end, because there will be a special prayer for strength and grace, spoken just for you, for this exact moment in your journey. What I need you to understand now is this. You've been experiencing this in-between season as something happening to you, as if time itself has been holding you back, delaying what should have already arrived. But from where I stand, This has never been something done to you. It has always been something unfolding within you. That long stretch you struggled to name, that quiet, stretching space between what you asked for and what you received, was not empty. It was a room, a sacred, hidden room where parts of you were being reshaped with care. God may have been allowing this season to loosen your grip, protecting you from receiving something before you were ready, or in a form that would have harmed you. There were desires in you that, if fulfilled in their original intensity, would have overwhelmed you. So this season became a place where your grip softened, where your hands slowly learned a different posture. Not closed fists, but open palms. Not control, but trust. And that shift does not happen overnight. It takes time, often more time than we would ever choose. But Scripture reminds us, be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Psalm 37:7. That kind of patience is not passive. It is deeply active, working beneath the surface, strengthening something essential inside you, because what was being formed in you was not surface-level patience, the kind that simply endures inconvenience. It was a deeper patience, one that settles into your spirit, one that continues even when there is no visible progress. A patience that does not depend on outcomes to remain steady. You didn't ask for that kind of strength. Most people don't. But you needed it for where your life is going, far more than you needed the answer itself. And alongside that patience, something else was quietly shifting. Your relationship with control began to change, not disappearing completely, but softening. You were learning how to hold things without gripping them too tightly, how to care deeply without suffocating what you care about, how to make plans without turning them into something you worship. This was not about becoming passive or indifferent. It was about becoming free. As it says in Proverbs 3:5-6, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. Trust requires open hands, and open hands are not learned in moments of ease. They are learned in seasons, exactly like the one you've been walking through. But perhaps the most profound transformation has been this. You have been discovering who you are when nothing is arriving, when there are no breakthroughs, no answers, no visible rewards. There is a version of every person that only exists when life is going their way, when prayers are being answered quickly, when doors are opening on cue. But that version is fragile. It cannot withstand silence. It cannot survive delay. So this season has been gently dismantling that version of you and replacing it with something far more real. A self that can sit in stillness without needing constant reassurance. A self that can exist fully in an ordinary day. A self that is no longer dependent on circumstances, but rooted more deeply in God's presence. This is the kind of person who can receive blessings without being consumed by them, and that person has been growing in you, quietly, steadily, even when you couldn't see it. Right now, wherever you are, try something simple. Place your hand on something solid, a table, a chair, even your own body. Feel that contact, that groundedness. You've spent so much time mentally reaching forward, trying to grasp when things will change, that part of you has become unanchored from the present. But the present is not empty. It is full. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Psalm 118-24. Not someday, this day. There is more already here than you've allowed yourself to feel. And I want you to know this too. The way you carried your prayers did not go unnoticed. Every shift in your voice, every time you softened your asking, every moment you held your desires quietly, instead of speaking them out loud, I saw it. The early confidence, the later hesitation, the careful rewording, as if the right phrase might unlock the answer. None of that was wasted. It was the natural journey of a heart learning to hope without control. You did the best you could with what you had, and that matters. Because while you thought you were simply waiting, something far more intricate was happening. You were being rebuilt from the inside. Like a house under renovation, your life may have looked messier during this process than it did before. Walls were opened, old structures were removed, things that once felt stable were taken apart. And from the outside, or even from your own perspective, it may have looked like things were getting worse. But it wasn't decay, it was construction. A house being restored doesn't look beautiful in the middle of the work. It looks chaotic, dust everywhere, exposed wiring, half-finished spaces. But that chaos is proof that something is being made new. And that's exactly what has been happening within you. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43-19. The fatigue you've been feeling, the quiet heaviness you couldn't quite explain, that wasn't meaningless. It was the cost of transformation. Every moment of uncertainty, every ache of delay was contributing to something that is still unfolding. Take a moment now to notice where you feel the weight the most. Maybe it's in your chest, your shoulders, your eyes. Don't try to fix it. Just acknowledge it. Stay with it for a few slow breaths, because when heaviness is ignored, it hardens. But when it is gently attended to, it begins to soften. You've been more tired than you realized, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. Waiting carries a cost. Hope, especially long-term hope, leaves marks. Not because it is wrong to hope, but because hope stretches you. And stretching, over time, can feel like exhaustion. But here is the quiet truth. The very thing you've been waiting for is closer than your fatigue allows you to believe. If the version of you from the beginning of this journey could see you now, they might not focus on how long it has taken. They would notice something else. They would see that you've become steadier, more grounded. There is a depth in you now that wasn't there before. Not heaviness in a negative sense, but a kind of weight that gives you stability. You are no longer easily carried away by circumstances. You are anchored, and that matters more than you know, because the road ahead requires that kind of strength. It requires someone who can stand firm, who can receive without losing themselves, who can remain steady even when life shifts again. You don't have to pretend that the waiting didn't hurt. It did. And acknowledging that doesn't take away from what has been built in you. Both can be true. The pain was real, and so is the growth. As it says in Romans 5:3-4, suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. You have been living that process, step by step, even when you didn't have words for it. So now, in this quiet moment, hear this not as a distant message, but as something spoken close, gently, personally. You were never forgotten in the waiting. You were being prepared. I need you to hear this deeply. You are loved truly and unconditionally, as Scripture reminds us, not as a phrase pulled from a page, not as something distant or symbolic, but as the quiet truth beneath everything you've been living through. You've been waiting for something real, something meaningful, and yes, that thing matters. It is not imagined, and it is not forgotten. It is coming in its time. But even more important than the thing itself is what has always been present underneath it: love. Steady, unchanging, not rising and falling with outcomes, not dependent on whether the answer arrives today or later. Because somewhere along the way, the weight of waiting may have led you to a question you didn't fully say out loud. Does the love depend on the answer? And the honest answer is no, it never has. The answer you're waiting for flows from love, but it does not define it. Love is not something that gets turned on when your life improves or dims when things are quiet. It is the ground you are standing on right now, whether you feel it or not. As it is written, I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with unfailing kindness. Jeremiah 31:3. Everlasting means it does not adjust itself according to your circumstances. So consider this gently, without rushing to accept it. What if, even in this painful season, God's love has been at work, bringing good out of what was difficult? Not love being withheld, but love being carefully formed into something that could truly hold you. There is a kind of giving that happens quickly, almost impulsively, because it is easier in the moment. But there is another kind of giving, slower, more deliberate, that takes time because it is building something that will last. That kind of love does not rush, because rushing would damage what it is trying to give. Think of the story of Joseph. Years passed between the dreams placed in his heart and the moment they came to life. In between, there were misunderstandings, betrayal, silence. From the inside, it must have looked like abandonment. But later, when the full picture came into view, it was clear that every delay had been part of a larger preparation, not just for what he would receive, but for who he needed to become to carry it. The love in that story was not absent in the waiting. It was shaping everything. That is the kind of love you have been living inside of. A slow love. And slow love is often the hardest to recognize while you are in it. From where you stand, it can feel like nothing is happening, or worse, like something is missing. But from a higher view, it is careful work, detailed, intentional, like a craftsman shaping something by hand. The Lord will fulfill his purpose for me. Your steadfast love, O Lord, endures forever. Psalm 138:8. Purpose and love are not separate. They move together, even when you cannot see the connection. You may need to let this truth sit with you for a while before it feels natural. That season was love, not absent love, not delayed love, but love in the form of patient construction. It may not fit easily at first. The story you've been telling yourself has likely sounded different, but sometimes truth needs time to settle into the body, not just the mind. You can return to it again and again, letting it soften the places in you that have grown tight from uncertainty. And beneath the question you've been asking, how long will this take? There has been a quieter, deeper question. Am I still loved while I wait? That question carries more weight than the first, because it touches something more personal, more vulnerable. It is not about timing, it is about belonging. So, hear this clearly. Without hesitation, you are still loved. You are still seen. You are still wanted. Nothing about this season has moved you out of place or out of reach. You have not been set aside, and you have not been forgotten. Your life has not slipped out of focus. The Lord your God is with you. He will take great delight in you. In his love he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing. Zephaniah 3:17. You are not standing outside the story, waiting to be invited back in. You are at the center of it, exactly where you have always been. And this slow chapter has never been about your absence. It has always been about your becoming. An unanswered season is not evidence that your life has been paused or pushed aside. It is evidence that something deeper has been unfolding in you. There is a quiet but important difference between being set aside and being seasoned. And what you have been living through is not neglect. It is preparation. Like a seed buried beneath the soil, nothing about its stillness suggests inactivity, yet everything essential is happening in that hidden place. You may not yet see the full meaning of the weight you've carried, but you can begin to sense it even now, in this very breath, if you allow yourself to slow down enough to notice. Take a moment to breathe more fully than you have in a while. Let your lungs expand. Let the air move through you gently, and release it without rushing. There is something quietly powerful about that simple act. Your body responds to it the same way it would respond to being held with care. It begins to understand that it is safe enough to receive again, and perhaps this is something you have not realized until now. The danger you thought you were in during this long pause was not what it seemed. You were not being abandoned. You were being held in a process that is now nearing its completion. There is a soft invitation here to relax, to let go of some of the tension you've been carrying for longer than you can remember. At some point along this journey, you may have noticed that your original prayer began to fade. The clarity you once had softened. The picture you held so tightly in your mind became less vivid. You found yourself continuing to hope, but without the same sharp definition. Perhaps you even wondered if something in you had weakened. But that fading was not a failure. It was not a sign that you lost faith. It was part of the transformation itself. Because sometimes what we imagine is too small for what is actually being prepared. There is a story in Scripture about a man named Abraham who was given a promise that seemed impossible. Years passed, and the fulfillment did not come quickly. In fact, there were long stretches where nothing appeared to change. But what was happening beneath the surface was not the erosion of the promise. It was the expansion of Abraham's capacity to receive it. By the time the promise arrived, he was no longer the same man who first heard it. The delay had done something essential in him. In the same way, the fading of your original picture has been making space for something larger, something truer than what you first imagined. So the dimming was not the loss of your answer. It was your answer making room for itself. And this is not a general truth meant to comfort anyone who happens to hear it. This is personal. It is precise. It meets you exactly where you are. You may sometimes wonder if messages like this are simply broad encouragements, words that could apply to anyone. But the way truth works is more intimate than that. It finds you specifically, speaks to your exact moment, your exact fatigue, your exact story. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You are familiar with all my ways. Psalm 139:1-3. Nothing about your experience has been generic. It has been known, seen, and held with intention. There may be a part of you that resists that idea, a part that has learned, through experience, that being singled out can lead to pain. Perhaps you've been singled out before for criticism, for expectations that felt too heavy, for roles you were not ready to carry, and so you learned to stay unnoticed, to blend in, to protect yourself from that kind of attention. That instinct makes sense. It was shaped by real experiences. But this is different. Being seen in love does not come with pressure. It does not demand performance. It does not expose you to harm. Instead, it creates a space where you can finally rest without needing to prove anything. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He restores my soul. Psalm 23:1-3. Restoration does not happen in a place of striving. It happens in a place of being gently attended to. You are allowed to be known in that way, without bracing yourself. And there is something else that often goes unnoticed about waiting. Many people think of the answer as a single moment, a clear arrival, something that appears suddenly after a long absence. But that is not the full picture. The answer is not just the moment it becomes visible. God has been working through this entire process, even when you could not see it. The season itself has been part of the answer, moving quietly, shaping, preparing, giving in ways that were not obvious to your senses. Think of it like a song rather than a single note. The moment of arrival is only one part of it. The entire process leading up to that moment carries meaning, depth, and intention. By the time the visible change happens, much of the real work has already been done. You may have seen this in others. Someone who waited for years for something meaningful, and when it finally came, there was more than relief on their face. There was a depth, a steadiness, a kind of quiet strength that had not been there before. They were not just someone who received something. They had become someone new in the process of waiting. That is what has been happening in you. There is a kind of shaping that happens slowly, almost imperceptibly, like stones in a river, worn smooth over time by constant movement, by friction, by contact with things that are not always gentle. At first, the process feels like loss. Rough edges are worn down, familiar shapes begin to change, and it can feel like something is being taken away. But over time, something else emerges, a smoothness, a strength that does not depend on sharpness, a capacity to reflect light in a way that was not possible before. He sits as a refiner and purifier of silver. Malachi 3:3. Refining is not comfortable, but it is purposeful. It removes what would distort what is meant to shine. You may feel, at times, like you've been worn down more than shaped, like the process has cost more than it has given. And it is important to acknowledge that honestly, there has been a cost. There is no transformation that comes without one. But that is not the whole story, because alongside the places that feel raw, there are also places that have become softer in the best way. Places where you have grown more compassionate, more patient with others, more capable of understanding pain without rushing to fix it. There may be a gentleness in you now that did not exist before, a quiet strength that does not need to prove itself. Those changes matter. They are part of the shaping too. So instead of only holding on to what was lost, there is an invitation to also recognize what has been gained, not in a forced or artificial way, but in an honest one. Perhaps you have learned how to sit with yourself in silence without fear. Perhaps you have developed a deeper trust, even if you cannot fully explain where it came from. Perhaps you have become someone who can remain steady in uncertainty. Even one of those is enough to acknowledge, because naming what has been formed in you is a way of honoring the journey you've walked. It allows you to see that the in-between was not empty, it was active. It was shaping something real, something lasting. And as you begin to recognize that, even in small ways, something shifts. The waiting no longer feels like wasted time. It begins to feel like part of a larger story. A story where nothing you've carried has been meaningless, and nothing you've endured has been without purpose. You are not the same person who entered this season, and that change is not accidental. Think back to the story many have heard since childhood, the story of a young man named Joseph. His life did not unfold in a straight line. It unfolded in layers of waiting that seemed, from the inside, unbearable. First a pit, then a foreign household where he served under someone else's authority, then a prison cell where time stretched without explanation. He carried a vision in his youth, something vivid and full of promise. It felt certain, clear, almost close enough to touch, and yet everything that followed seemed to contradict that vision. Betrayal came from those closest to him. False accusations stripped away his dignity. Silence replaced clarity. If you were standing in his place, you might have asked the same question you've been asking. How can something that feels so right be followed by so much that feels so wrong? From Joseph's point of view, the weight must have felt like a contradiction of everything he believed. But when the story is seen from a wider lens, something else becomes clear. None of those places were interruptions. None of them were wasted spaces. They were all part of the path. Each season carried a kind of shaping that could not have happened any other way. When Joseph finally stood before power, interpreting dreams that would preserve entire nations, he was not the same young man who first dreamed under open skies. He had become someone steady enough to carry influence without being consumed by it. Someone gentle enough to forgive without holding bitterness. Someone grounded enough to remain human, even when elevated. That kind of person is not formed in comfort. It is formed in time. And that is the thread that runs through your own story, even if it looks completely different on the surface. Your waiting is not a repetition of anyone else's. It has its own shape, its own details, its own quiet struggles. But the principle underneath remains the same. There are things in you that cannot be rushed into existence. There are parts of your character that can only be formed slowly, through repetition, through endurance, through moments when nothing seems to be changing, and yet everything is. Time, in that sense, is not unkind. It is necessary. It is the only space large enough to hold the kind of transformation you are undergoing. As it is written, let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. James 1-4. That kind of completion does not come quickly. It grows, almost invisibly, until one day you realize you are standing differently than before. Even now, if you pause for a moment, you may notice small places in your body where the weight has been living. The jaw, often tight without awareness. The face, carrying expressions shaped by long effort. The shoulders, slightly raised as if bracing for something that never quite arrives. Let those places soften, even slightly, because your body has been holding this story along with your mind. And when the season begins to shift, the body is one of the first places where that release can begin. There is another quiet transformation that has been happening, one you might not have noticed at first. Your priorities have been changing. When you first began asking for what you desired, there were certain things that felt urgent, essential, non-negotiable. You may have believed that if those things did not happen, something fundamental would be lost. But look at where you are now. Many of those once critical concerns have softened. Some have faded entirely, and in their place, other values have taken root, things that are less visible, perhaps, but far more lasting. This shift did not happen all at once. It happened gradually, almost without your awareness. The long pause has been quietly rewriting what matters to you, and that rewriting may actually be the answer to a deeper question you didn't even know you were asking. Beneath your specific request, there may have been something more fundamental stirring within you, a desire to understand what truly holds value, a longing to be free from things that once felt necessary but were never meant to sustain you, a quiet hope to learn how to treasure what cannot be taken away. These deeper desires cannot be fulfilled by simply receiving what you first asked for. They require a different kind of response. They require time, reflection, and sometimes the gentle dismantling of what you thought you needed. And so, while your words were focused on one thing, your soul was reaching for something else. And that deeper reaching has been heard. At the same time, there is a kind of grief that often goes unspoken in seasons like this. It is not the grief of losing everything, but the grief of losing a specific picture. The version of the future you once held so clearly has changed. Certain details you imagined may no longer fit. Some expectations have quietly fallen away. And even if what is coming is greater, more aligned, more fitting for who you are becoming, there is still a loss in letting go of what you first envisioned. That loss deserves to be acknowledged. It is not a failure to admit that part of you is grieving what could have been. It is a sign of honesty, because you cannot fully receive what is new if you are still trying to hold on to what no longer fits. Sometimes there is a quiet letting go that must happen first. Not dramatic, not loud, but real. A gentle release of what once felt certain, making space for something that is still unfolding. And within all of this, there is another lesson unfolding, one that may be the most personal of all. This season has not only been teaching you how to wait for an answer, it has been teaching you how to be patient with yourself. Somewhere along the way, there may have been a voice inside you that blamed you for the delay, a voice that questioned whether you did something wrong, whether you could have acted differently, whether this prolonged waiting was somehow your fault. That voice can be persistent, familiar, almost automatic, but not everything in your life is the result of something you did or didn't do. Some things are simply larger than your control. Some timelines are not yours to manage. And part of this season has been gently loosening the grip of self-blame. Over time, even the most critical inner voice begins to soften when faced with questions that have no clear answer. There comes a point where holding on to blame requires more energy than letting it go. And in that release, something unexpected begins to grow. Compassion, not just for others, but for yourself. The same kindness you might offer to someone else in your position slowly becomes available to you. Not all at once, but in small moments. In the way you speak to yourself. In the way you allow yourself to rest. In the way you stop demanding immediate resolution for things that take time. That shift matters more than you may realize, because there is a kind of strength that only develops through waiting. It is not loud or obvious. It does not draw attention to itself, but it is steady, reliable, deep. People who have never had to wait often carry confidence, but that confidence depends on things continuing to go their way. When circumstances change, that confidence can falter. But the strength you are developing does not depend on external conditions. It has been built slowly, through uncertainty, through endurance, through moments when you kept going without knowing how things would turn out. That kind of strength remains, even when everything else shifts. As it is written, we have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. Hebrews 6:19. An anchor is not needed when the waters are calm. It is formed for the moments when stability matters most. And that is what has been growing in you. Not just the ability to receive what is coming, but the ability to remain steady no matter what comes next. You are not the same person who began this journey. And that is not something to overlook. It is something to recognize with quiet respect. Because becoming takes time, and time, in your story, has not been empty. There is a kind of confidence that only those who have waited come to carry, and it does not look the way most people expect. It is not loud, not urgent, not eager to prove itself. It is quieter than that, steadier, rooted in something deeper than circumstance. It comes from reaching the edge of your own strength and discovering, almost unexpectedly, that you were not the one holding everything together. Something beyond your own effort sustained you. And once you have lived through that realization, something changes permanently. The next time life shifts beneath your feet, you are not as easily shaken because you remember. You remember that even when everything felt uncertain, there was still something underneath you that did not give way. This kind of knowing cannot be taught in a single moment. It cannot be borrowed from someone else or downloaded through understanding alone. It is formed slowly, through days that felt unanswered, through nights when clarity did not come, through stretches of time that tested you without breaking you. You have been living through those days, even when you didn't recognize what they were building, and now you are becoming someone who carries that depth within you. If you can, place your hand gently over your heart for a moment. Feel the warmth of your own touch, the quiet rhythm beneath it. That steady pulse has not stopped, not once, despite everything you have gone through. It has continued faithfully, quietly, without asking for recognition. That rhythm is more than just the function of a body. It is a reminder that life has been sustained in you, even in the moments when you felt most uncertain. In him we live and move and have our being. Acts 17:28. Your existence has never been held by your strength alone. There were days when your own strength felt nearly gone, when even hope seemed difficult to hold. But even then, you were not dropped. You were carried. Even to your old age and gray hairs I am. I have made you and I will carry you. Isaiah 46:4. There is something deeply reassuring in that truth. Your hands may be tired, but the hands that have been holding you are not. Stay with that awareness for a few breaths. Let yourself feel what it means to still be here, not just surviving, but still present, still breathing, still capable of receiving what comes next. Now imagine something gently, without forcing it. Picture the version of you from years ago, the one who first began asking for what you desired. Maybe it was 3 years ago, maybe longer. That earlier version of you had a certain understanding of life, a certain way of seeing things, a certain level of readiness. Now, imagine that version of you receiving the answer back then. Walk through it slowly. They would have done their best with what they had. They would have tried to handle it well. But they were not yet who you are now. There were things they did not yet understand, patterns they had not yet recognized, attachments they had not yet released. Their ability to receive would have been limited by what they knew at the time. Not wrong, not broken, just incomplete. The way they would have held the answer would have been different, lighter perhaps, but also less grounded. The impact would have been smaller. The depth of joy, the clarity of purpose, the steadiness in handling it, all of that would have been less than what is possible now. So what if this season has not been about delay, but alignment? Hold that thought gently, not as something you must immediately accept, but as something worth considering. Because alignment takes time. It involves more than just you. It involves timing, relationships, circumstances, and countless unseen details coming into place together. There are moments in life that cannot happen early, not because they are being withheld, but because the conditions are not yet ready. There is a story in the scriptures about Esther, a young woman who found herself in a position she never expected. Her rise to influence did not happen overnight. It involved preparation, timing, and a series of events that placed her exactly where she needed to be at the right moment. When the time came, her role was not just about her own life, but about something much larger. Her famous words, "For such a time as this," Esther 4:14, remind us that certain moments are not random. They are aligned. Alignment is different from delay. Delay feels empty. Alignment is full of unseen movement. From your perspective, it may have looked like nothing was happening. But beneath the surface, many things have been shifting at once. Pieces moving into place, circumstances adjusting, people growing into roles they need to play. These movements are often invisible until the moment they come together. But when they do, everything changes at once. You might begin to see your waiting differently if you think of it not as a stalled engine, but as a kind of gestation. When something is growing within, it does not always show on the outside right away. There are long periods where nothing appears different, yet something intricate and essential is developing. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together. Your works are wonderful. Psalm 139:13, 1:4. That same careful formation applies not only to physical life, but to the unfolding of purpose. There is a timing to growth that cannot be rushed. Birth does not happen simply because we want it to. It happens when what has been forming is ready to emerge, and readiness is not determined by a calendar. It is determined by completion. So perhaps what you have been living through is not inactivity, but preparation reaching its final stages. Let your eyes rest for a moment, if you can. They have been working harder than you realize, scanning for signs, searching for confirmation, trying to read meaning into every small shift. That kind of constant searching can become exhausting. Allow your eyes to soften, even briefly. The answer you are looking for does not require constant vigilance. It will come into view in its time. There is also another kind of awareness that has been growing in you, one that does not depend on what you can see. It is quieter, more subtle, a sense that something is shifting, even before there is visible proof. This inner awareness is not something you learned quickly. It has been developing slowly, through experience, through waiting, through learning to trust what cannot yet be confirmed. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for, and assurance about what we do not see. Hebrews 11:1. That assurance is not blind, it is formed. It grows through moments exactly like the ones you have been living. You may not fully trust this inner sense yet. That is okay. It takes time to recognize it, but it is there, and it will become one of the most reliable parts of how you move forward. And as you sit with all of this, there is something else to recognize. What you needed most during this season was not simply the resolution of your situation. It was not just the arrival of an answer. What you needed, perhaps more than anything, was presence. To not feel alone in the waiting. There is a quiet truth here. You have not been alone. Not in the long hours, not in the questions you kept to yourself, not in the moments when doubt crept in quietly. There has been a presence with you through all of it. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. Closeness does not always remove the difficulty, but it changes how the difficulty is carried. That companionship has been steady, even when everything else felt uncertain, and it does not disappear when the answer arrives. It remains. It is the foundation beneath both the waiting and the fulfillment. And beneath all the questions you have been asking, there is one that has been quietly present, perhaps not fully formed, but deeply felt. A question about whether you are truly seen, truly known, truly held in the middle of all of this. That question matters, and the answer to it has been unfolding in every moment you have made it through, every breath you have taken, every day you have remained standing. You have not been overlooked. You have been accompanied. Have you paused, even briefly, to notice what has been changing within you during this long stretch of waiting? Not the circumstances around you, not the external details that seem slow to shift, but you, your inner world, your responses, your way of being. It's a question many people avoid, not because it lacks importance, but because it feels secondary to the more pressing question: when will things finally change? And yet, if you sit with it honestly, you may begin to see that this quieter question carries more weight, because unlike the timing of external answers, this is something you can observe right now, in this very moment, without needing anything else to happen first. So take a moment and look inward, gently, without judgment. What has truly changed in you? Not what you hoped would change, not what you fear hasn't changed enough, but what has actually shifted, even in small ways. There are people around you who have already noticed. They may not have said it out loud, but they've seen the difference. They've seen how your reactions have slowed, how your words have softened, how your presence feels less guarded than it once was. Where you may still feel like you are in process, they are witnessing the results. They see a steadiness where there used to be urgency, They see honesty where there used to be pressure to appear strong. They see someone who no longer needs to pretend to have everything under control. The reason it's harder for you to see is simple. You've been living inside the change. And when you are inside something, it is always more difficult to recognize its shape. But that does not make the change any less real. There have been quiet endings within you during this season. Some of them felt like loss. Some of them, though painful, were actually forms of mercy. And some were both at the same time. One of those endings has been your need to control the timing of everything. At the beginning, you held tightly to how and when things should unfold. You tried to map it out, to keep it within your reach. But over time, that grip has been gently, sometimes painfully, loosened. Because what is being formed in your life cannot grow under pressure from a timeline that demands immediate results. You may not feel completely free from that urge yet, but you are no longer where you started. There was a version of you who would have resisted this truth entirely. That version has softened. Another quiet ending has been the story of self-sufficiency. There may have been a time when you believed you could carry everything on your own, that needing help was a weakness, that leaning on others was something to avoid. But this season has shown you something different. It has led you into moments where you had no choice but to rely on something beyond yourself, whether that was the support of others, the comfort of prayer, or a quiet trust that did not come from logic alone. As it says, two are better than one. If either of them falls, one can help the other up. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. You were never meant to carry life alone, and the breaking of that illusion, though uncomfortable, has been a form of healing. There is also a deeper layer to this transformation, one that is more subtle but incredibly important. Certain things you once believed you needed have slowly lost their hold on you. These were not necessarily bad things, but they had become too central. The need for approval, the need to always appear capable, the need to feel secure through external validation, the need to be seen in a certain way. These expectations quietly shaped how you lived, how you showed up, how you measured your worth. But over time, those things have begun to lose their power, not all at once, not dramatically, but steadily. You've become someone who can enter a space without needing to prove yourself, someone who can hear feedback without immediately defending, someone who can let go of being everything to everyone. These are not small adjustments. These are deep internal shifts that change how life feels from the inside. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. And it is your heart that has been changing. So when you hear the truth that what you have been waiting for has, in some way, been forming within you, listen to it differently now. The answer you seek has not only been moving toward you, it has been shaping you into someone who can receive it fully, because receiving is not as simple as it seems. It requires readiness. It requires balance. It requires a kind of inner stability that can hold something good without being overwhelmed by it. Think of the difference between holding something tightly out of fear and holding it gently with trust. One leads to strain, the other leads to freedom. You have been learning the second. A receiver has been forming in you, someone who can experience joy without clinging to it, someone who can hold blessings without making them the center of their identity, someone who can share what they've been given instead of guarding it out of fear of loss. This is not accidental, It is the result of everything you've walked through. And in many ways, this is the deeper miracle, because the gift itself matters, yes, but the ability to carry it well, to live with it in a way that brings life instead of pressure, that is what gives the gift its true meaning. The waiting was not empty. It was forming someone who can finally receive. Try saying it quietly within yourself, even if only as a thought you barely trust yet. A receiver is the deeper miracle. Let those words settle for a moment. You might feel resistance rise up immediately. A part of you may wonder if that idea somehow diminishes what you've been longing for, as if it shifts attention away from the answer you've waited so long to receive. But it doesn't reduce the value of the blessing at all. In fact, it honors something even more enduring, because the truth is, the one who receives the gift is the one who must carry it, live with it, steward it, and be shaped by it long after the moment of arrival has passed. A gift, no matter how beautiful, can become a burden if it is placed into unready hands. But the same gift, placed into a prepared heart, becomes something entirely different. It becomes life-giving. It flows outward. It blesses not only the one who holds it, but everyone around them. To whom much is given, much will be required. Luke 12:48. That is not a warning meant to create fear. It is an invitation to understand that capacity matters, readiness matters, and what has been happening in you has been the quiet expansion of that capacity. You have not simply been waiting to receive something. You have been becoming someone who can hold it well. That kind of becoming takes time. It takes more time than the delivery itself would have required. But it is also the greater gift. Let your body feel that truth for a moment. Rest your hands together, one inside the other. Allow your shoulders to drop slightly. You may not realize how much tension you've been carrying until you let even a fraction of it go. Notice your breathing, not to control it, just to observe it. Then, gently, let one breath out a little slower than usual, and then another. Each slow exhale is a quiet release of something you've been holding without realizing it. There is something tender I want to bring back to your attention. Somewhere along the way you prayed for what you desired began to change. It may not have stopped entirely, but it shifted. What once felt clear and specific became softer, less defined. Your words turned into something quieter, more like a sigh than a structured request. And perhaps, in those moments, you wondered if something in you had weakened. But that was not weakness. That was growth. At the beginning, your prayers needed clarity. You needed to understand what you were asking for. You needed language, detail, direction. But as time passed, something deeper began to take shape. You started to trust beyond the words themselves. You no longer needed to control every detail of the request. You began to trust that what was heard went beyond what was spoken. Your Father knows what you need before you ask Him, Matthew 6-8. That kind of knowing invites a different kind of prayer, not louder, not more intense, but more surrendered. What felt like a loss of intensity was actually a shift into trust. You stopped trying to manage the outcome. You began to rest in relationship, and that transition is not always celebrated. There is a quiet pressure, often unspoken, that tells you faith should always look the same, strong, consistent, full of energy. But real faith changes over time. The early prayers may be full of urgency and detail, but the prayers that come after years of waiting carry something different. They are fewer words, but deeper ones. Sometimes they are just a single sentence, sometimes just a breath. And those quiet prayers, shaped by time, often carry more weight than all the earlier ones combined, because they come from a place that has been refined, worn down, softened into something real. That wearing down is not failure, it is closeness. It is what happens when striving gives way to trust. There is another change that may be less obvious, but deeply significant. Your presence with other people has shifted. You are not the same person you used to be when someone else is struggling or waiting. You no longer rush to fix their situation or fill the silence with quick encouragement. You no longer reach for easy answers or surface-level comfort. Instead, you sit with them. You allow space. You understand, without needing explanation, what it means to carry something unresolved. And because of that, you offer something rare, a presence that does not demand that pain be quickly resolved. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Romans 12:15. That kind of presence cannot be learned quickly. It is formed through experience. There are people in your life right now who are being quietly strengthened by the way you simply remain with them. You may not fully see it yet, but your ability to stay, to listen, to not rush the process that is a gift. And it was formed in you during the very season you thought was only about your own waiting. You have become someone who can hold space without urgency, someone who can sit in silence without needing to fill it, someone who can walk alongside another person without trying to control their journey. That is not a small thing. It is a transformation that changes not only your life, but the lives of those around you. Take a moment to notice something simple, something easily overlooked. Your body. The quiet, constant work it has been doing to sustain you. Every breath, every heartbeat, every small function that continues without your effort. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139:14. That truth is not abstract. It is happening within you right now. Even as you've been focused on what has not yet arrived, so much has already been given. Life itself has continued to move through you. Strength has been sustained. You have been carried through days you once thought you might not make it through. The answer you are waiting for is not the only blessing in your life. It is one part of a much larger story, and the waiting itself has been shaping how you will receive that story. There are two ways a person can move through a long season of waiting. One becomes consumed by it, counting the days, measuring the delays, building a quiet list of disappointments that slowly hardens into resentment. And when the answer finally comes, it must compete with everything that has been accumulated along the way. The other way is quieter, not perfect, not free of frustration, but open. A person who allows themselves to feel the difficulty without letting it define everything. Someone who remains, even in small ways, open to joy, open to growth, open to change. You may not realize it, but you have been walking in the second way more than you think. You have had moments of frustration, yes, moments of doubt, moments where the weight felt too heavy, but those moments did not become your identity. They passed through you without taking over you. That matters, because it means your heart has remained open. and an open heart is able to receive. There is something else worth considering now, something that reaches beneath everything you've been asking for. Often, what we ask for on the surface is connected to something deeper underneath. A desire for connection may be rooted in a deeper need to feel chosen. A desire for provision may reflect a deeper longing for security. A desire for healing may carry a deeper hope of restoration and trust. The surface request matters, but the deeper need matters even more. And that deeper place has been the focus of the work happening within you, because if the surface answer arrives without the deeper need being addressed, it cannot fully satisfy. But when the deeper place is settled, when something within you has been restored or strengthened, then the surface answer becomes something you can truly receive, not just temporarily enjoy. This is why the process has taken time. It has not been about withholding. It has been about preparing the deeper ground so that what arrives can take root and remain. There have been moments, perhaps late at night or in quiet stretches of rest, when something shifted in you without you fully noticing. You went to sleep carrying a certain heaviness, and when you woke, it had eased, even slightly. You may not have paid attention to it, but those small movements mattered, because not all healing happens when you are actively seeking it. Some of it happens in stillness, in rest, in moments when you are no longer trying to control the process. He gives his beloved sleep, Psalm 127:2. There is a kind of restoration that comes when you let go, even unconsciously. You have been changing in those unseen moments. You have been healing in ways you cannot fully trace. And now, something else is gently being invited back into your life. At the beginning of this journey, you may have allowed yourself to imagine what life would look like when the answer came. You pictured it. You felt it. It gave you energy, hope, direction. But over time, that imagining became difficult. The distance between the picture and your reality made it painful. So you closed that door, not out of weakness, but out of protection. That makes sense. But perhaps now, in a small and careful way, you can begin to open that door again. Not fully, not forcefully, just a little. Allow yourself to imagine one simple moment, not the entire future, just a glimpse, a moment of peace, a moment of joy, a moment where something feels whole again. Hold that image briefly, then let it go. You don't need to cling to it. You only need to remember that you are still capable of imagining it, because hope has not left you. It has simply been resting. And the reason all of this has mattered, the reason the timing has been what it has been, is not random. It is not arbitrary. It is deeply connected to the kind of life you are meant to live, not just in a single moment of arrival, but over time. You may have seen what happens when something good comes too quickly into unprepared hands. A sudden opportunity, a relationship, a form of success. At first, it brings excitement, but over time, it begins to reveal what has not yet been addressed within the person holding it. Old patterns surface, insecurities rise. The very thing that once felt like a blessing becomes difficult to sustain. Not because the blessing was wrong, but because the foundation was not ready. What you have been walking through has been protecting you from that outcome. It has been building something deeper, something steadier, something that can hold what is coming, not just for a moment, but for a lifetime. It may feel like delay, But God can use even this season as preparation. There is a quiet but life-shaping difference between someone who merely spends a blessing and someone who knows how to steward it. A spender receives something good and uses it quickly, often without thinking beyond the moment. The gift is consumed, enjoyed briefly, and then it is gone, leaving little behind except a memory. But a steward moves differently. A steward receives with awareness. They plant what they are given. They nurture it, protect it, allow it to grow, and over time, what they were given multiplies into something that outlives them. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. Luke 16:10. That kind of trust is not given randomly. It is built slowly through seasons that shape the heart, and that is what has been happening in you. You have not been prepared to simply receive and move on. You have been prepared to carry, to grow, to sustain. Stewardship is not something that appears overnight. It requires a kind of formation that only time can produce. Anyone can spend. It takes almost no preparation to use something quickly, but to steward, to understand that the gift is not the end, but the beginning of something larger that requires depth. It requires patience. It requires a shift in how you see what you are receiving. There may have been moments when you looked around and wondered why others seemed to receive what they wanted sooner than you. It may have felt uneven, even unfair at times. From the perspective of a calendar, it can look that way. Some lives seem to move faster. Some answers appear earlier. Some paths look smoother. But timing, when seen only through the lens of who got there first, will always feel confusing. There is another way to understand it. Instead of looking at timing through the calendar, consider it through the lens of formation. Not every person begins from the same place. Not every gift requires the same preparation. Some people receive quickly because what they are receiving requires less internal construction. Others take longer because what is coming into their lives is larger, heavier, more complex. And that kind of gift requires a stronger foundation. Your timing has been shaped by the size of what you are meant to carry. If you could fully see what is ahead, not just the moment of arrival, but the life that follows it, you might understand why the preparation has taken this long. You might even say, with clarity instead of frustration, that this time was necessary. Because something significant cannot be sustained without the structure to hold it. There is a passage that speaks about vision being tied to its proper moment. For the vision awaits its appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. Habakkuk 2-3. The idea of an appointed time carries a deeper meaning than simple scheduling. It points to alignment, the moment when everything needed is finally in place. That moment cannot be forced. It arrives when readiness and opportunity meet. And that is what has been unfolding behind the scenes of your life. While it may have looked like stillness from your perspective, there has been movement, quiet, precise, intentional movement. You have been changing. Circumstances have been shifting. Other people, other paths, other unseen details have been aligning. It has not been empty. It has been preparation in motion. In many ways, both you and the answer you are waiting for have been moving toward each other. Not in a straight line you could track, but in a deeper kind of convergence. Like two paths being shaped separately, until they meet at exactly the right point. The answer has not been absent. It has been waiting, just as you have been waiting. And the meeting point comes when both are ready. There is a tenderness in that process that may not have been obvious to you, because there were moments when something smaller could have been given earlier. Something easier, something that would have satisfied the immediate need, but that was not what your life required in the long term. So instead of giving you something that would have worked temporarily, something that might have seemed enough at the time, the decision was made to wait for something better, not because you were denied, but because you were known. There is a difference. The waiting protected you from outcomes you could not see, paths that might have seemed right at first, but would not have sustained you, situations that would have placed pressure on parts of you that were not yet ready. No good thing does he withhold from those whose walk is blameless. Psalm 84:11. What is withheld is not truly good for you at that moment. What is given is what fits both your life and your future. Even now, there are things happening in your life that do not require your management. Your breath continues without effort. Your body sustains itself. Your heart keeps its rhythm. There are systems at work within you that operate faithfully without your supervision. In the same way, much of what has been happening in your inner life has not required your constant awareness. You have not had to control every part of the process. You have only needed to remain. And even in that, there has been a quiet fear that may have followed you. A fear that perhaps something in you had disqualified you, that maybe the delay meant you had fallen short, that you had somehow stepped outside of what was meant for you. But that fear does not reflect reality. You have not been set aside. You have not been removed from the story. What you have been in is not a sentence, but a season of preparation. There is a difference between punishment and formation. One looks backward, focused on what went wrong. The other looks forward, focused on what is being built. You have been in formation, and formation has an end. There comes a moment when preparation gives way to arrival, but that arrival may not look the way you once imagined. It may not be loud or dramatic. It may not come with the kind of recognition you expected. Often, it comes quietly, through ordinary moments that carry unexpected significance. A conversation that shifts everything. An opportunity that seems small at first. A connection you didn't anticipate. A realization that changes how you see your path. This is how answers often arrive, not with spectacle, but with precision. They fit into your life in a way that makes sense only when you step back and see how everything connects. And because of what you have been through, you are now able to notice those moments. You have been slowed down enough to see what others might miss. You have developed a kind of attention that recognizes meaning in what appears ordinary. That is part of your preparation. There is also an invitation here to return, even briefly, to the present moment. Waiting has a way of pulling your attention into the future, into what has not yet happened. But your present is not empty. It is not just a space to endure until something changes. It is a place that holds its own kind of fullness. The ground beneath you is real. The breath within you is real. The life you are living right now is real. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Stillness is not inactivity. It is awareness. It is the ability to recognize what is already here. There are gifts in your present that have gone unnoticed because your focus has been elsewhere. Small things, quiet things, but real. And as you begin to notice them, something shifts. Waiting becomes less about lack and more about awareness. You begin to see that life has been continuing, even in the absence of what you expected. There is a deeper intelligence in this entire process. The waiting has not been designed to cause harm. It has been shaped to prevent a greater kind of loss. There are paths you did not take, outcomes you did not experience, difficulties you did not face, not because they were impossible, but because they were not meant for you. You do not need to see those alternate paths to trust that they existed. You only need to recognize that what has unfolded has done so with purpose. Trust itself is built quietly, not in one dramatic moment, but in small, repeated returns. Each day you chose to continue, even without clarity, you were building something. Each time you held on, even when it felt uncertain, you were strengthening something. It may not have felt like strength, but it was, because strength is not always loud. Sometimes it looks like simply staying, simply returning, simply continuing. And that is what you have done. Even when you felt tired, even when you felt unsure, even when you wondered if it mattered. It mattered. Every step, every moment, every quiet decision to keep going contributed to what is now nearly complete. There may be a final stretch, a last refinement, a subtle shift that brings everything into place. You may feel it as a certain kind of sensitivity, a clarity about what no longer belongs, a willingness to release what you once held tightly. Those are not random feelings. They are signs that something is finishing. The shape that has been forming within you is almost complete, and the hands that have been shaping it have not made a mistake. So now, as you stand at the edge of what comes next, there is a new kind of awareness beginning to rise. Not just about what is coming, but about how to receive it. Because receiving well requires something different than simply wanting. It requires openness without grasping. It requires gratitude without fear. It requires the ability to hold something lightly without losing its value. And that is what you are ready to learn next. Arrival is closer than you think, closer than the long season ever allowed you to believe. And now you are standing at the quiet edge of receiving. Not a loud edge, not a dramatic turning point the way you once imagined, but something gentler, more precise, more deeply aligned with who you have become. And as you step into this closing moment of the journey, understand this. Everything you have walked through has not only been about reaching this point, but about preparing you to recognize it, to receive it, and to carry it with wisdom and peace. The first movements of what you have been waiting for will not necessarily look like what you once pictured. It may not arrive with noise or certainty or immediate clarity. Instead, it will begin quietly, like a subtle lightness in your chest during an ordinary hour. A moment when something shifts, not completely, but noticeably. A small opening where there used to be tightness. A gentle sense that something is no longer as heavy as it once was. This is not random. This is the beginning. And if you are attentive, you will recognize that the answer does not suddenly appear. It unfolds. It has been unfolding for some time already. Pay attention to those small clearings within you. They are not insignificant. They are the evidence that something has already begun to move. as it is written, "The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day." Proverbs 4:18. Light does not arrive all at once. It grows, it expands, it reveals itself gradually, and so will what is coming into your life. You will also notice a new kind of courage emerging in you, small decisions that you would not have made before, a quiet yes where you once would have hesitated, a willingness to step into spaces you once avoided. These moments may seem ordinary, but they are not. They are the doorway through which the answer begins to take shape in your life. Trust them. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and He will make your paths straight. Proverbs 3:5-6. Even when you do not see the full path, each step you take is being guided. There may also be new connections, unexpected people entering your life in ways you did not plan. Do not overlook them. Sometimes the answer you have been waiting for does not come as an event, but as a relationship, a conversation, a presence that unlocks something new. Stay open, stay attentive. What you need will not miss you. And when it comes, whether quietly or clearly, remember the difference between receiving and grasping. After a long wait, there can be a temptation to hold tightly, to fear that what has arrived might disappear if not controlled. But what is given to you is not meant to be seized. It is meant to be received. Every good and perfect gift is from above. James 1:17. And gifts are meant to be held with open hands. Receiving is an act of trust. It allows space for what has been given to grow, to breathe, to become more than just a moment. It keeps your heart open for what continues to come. And what you have learned in this long season has prepared you for exactly that kind of receiving. But understand this clearly. Arrival is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of a new chapter. The becoming does not stop here. It continues, shaped now by what you have received. The same openness, humility, and attentiveness that carried you through the waiting will now carry you through the fulfillment. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. Philippians 1:6. The work is ongoing, and it is good. So as you stand here, at the threshold between what has been and what is coming, allow yourself to rest, not because everything is finished, but because you no longer need to carry the same weight in the same way. Rest is not weakness, it is trust. It is the quiet confidence that what is meant for you is already on its way, already aligned, already prepared. Let this moment also become a prayer, not a hurried request, not a desperate plea, but a grounded, steady conversation with God. Lord, you have carried me through a season I did not always understand. There were moments when I felt uncertain, moments when I questioned, moments when I grew tired. But through it all, you remained. You sustained me in ways I could not see at the time. You strengthened me when I thought I had no strength left. And now, as I stand at the edge of what is coming, I thank you not only for what I will receive, but for who I have become. Help me to recognize your work in my life, even when it appears quietly. Give me the eyes to see the small beginnings, the wisdom to trust the process, and the patience to receive without fear. Teach me to hold what you give with open hands, to steward it with care, and to use it in ways that bring life not only to me but to others. When I feel the urge to control, remind me to trust. When I feel uncertainty, remind me of how you have already been faithful. When I am tempted to rush ahead, teach me to walk with you instead. Let my life reflect not only the blessings I receive, but the grace that has shaped me through every season. Give me courage in my daily actions. Help me to say yes when it matters, to step forward even when the path is not fully clear, and to remain open to the people and opportunities you bring into my life. Let me live with awareness, noticing the small gifts that are already present, the quiet mercies that sustain me each day. Teach me to rest not in inactivity, but in trust. To know that I do not have to force what you have already prepared. To believe that what is meant for me will come in its time, and that your timing is not a delay but a design. And, above all, remind me that I am loved. Not because I have done everything right, not because I have been strong, but because your love is constant. Let that love be the foundation of everything I build from this moment forward. Amen. As you move forward, take small, practical steps in your daily life. Pay attention to your inner state. When you notice that subtle sense of peace or openness, pause and acknowledge it. When opportunities arise, even small ones, consider them carefully rather than dismissing them. Stay connected to moments of stillness, even if only for a few minutes each day, allowing yourself to be present rather than always anticipating what comes next. Speak gently to yourself, especially in moments of doubt, and when you feel overwhelmed, return to your breath, to the present, to the quiet reminder that you are not alone. If this message has resonated with you, stay connected. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future messages that may meet you exactly where you are. And if something in these words touched your heart, leave a simple, honest comment, maybe just one word that reflects what you're feeling right now. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for allowing this moment to be part of your journey.